Ladies and gentlemen, the space is changing right under our feet. And if you are an NFT project founder moving into 2023, it is incredibly important for you to stay up to date with the latest market movements, with the latest ways projects are communicating with their audience, with the way they're interacting with them, and more importantly, in the context of this video, the way they are giving out whitelists to their community. And the reason for that is the last thing you want is to be a project in 2023 that is still stuck doing the things that projects in 2021 were doing, because that is the recipe for disaster. So in today's video, I'm going to be showing you what does the new whitelist meta look like? How is it going to be shaping 2023? And why I think it is here to stay. Now, how has the whitelist meta changed over the years? As you know, right now, December 2022, the space is completely different than it was during the summer, and it's even more different than it was during the bull market between December and February. And a big part of a project's success is the whitelist strategy that they deploy, because number one, a lack of a good strategy is the number one recipe for disaster. And number two, the right strategy could mean the difference between you attracting the right type of buyer into your project that is going to buy your project, or attracting people that do not have money or are just not interested in your project. You've probably noticed that the whole grinding meta is over. The whole engagement farming is no longer relevant. Things don't work. Asking the community to engage with a specific tweet or to react to a bot on Discord, that no longer works. And we can derive an explanation to this if we are to remember the three types of buyer personas that exist in the NFT space. We have the X-Collector, we have Finny, and we have Z-Money. If you haven't heard of that, I went in depth in the last video I made, the Art Gobblers $1.2 million case study, and would invite you to go deep into those, because understanding the three buyer personas is incredibly important. However, in the context of this video, the two buyers that are going to engage with a whitelist most of the time are going to be Finny and Z-Money. And from what we've learned from the last video, Z-Money is a Gen Z degen. Finnies are more of a smart buyer type of money. And during the Ethereum bull market and the Solana summer, there was a lot of liquidity out there. And the majority of the market was moved by Z-Money. Those were people that would come into a project without prior research, ape into it, FOMO into a project, and create all that buy and sell pressure on secondary. With the current market situation, we've seen the majority of Z-Money practically leave the space, because a lot of them were in the space to make money. And with the current market situation, we all know that money is not the easiest thing to do right now in the space. They're all back to doing drop shipping, Amazon FBA, or OnlyFans management, which is the popular thing right now. The people that are left in the space are Finny. And if we are to understand the buyer persona of Finny, Finny is someone that is in his late 20s or early 30s, tends to have a full-time job doing something pretty technical, either data analytics, banking, engineering, finance, and they tend to buy into projects for what the project could build, because they are longer-term holders. And Finny right now has become a lot more picky with the type of projects that even deserves his or her attention. That explains why the whole grinding meta in the NFT space no longer works, where you had to spend hours on Discord talking, engaging, playing games, doing all that. That no longer works, because Finny just does not grind. Z-Money was the type of persona that would grind, and Z-Money is no longer in the space. So with that, the whitelist strategy has evolved. The new way you whitelist people can be broken down into two different categories. The first one is an evolution of the grinding strategy, which has become a brand interaction strategy. So strategy number one, a brand interaction strategy. The second strategy is called a qualification-based strategy, where you have to qualify to get a specific whitelist. So number one, brand engagement. Number two, qualification. And what we're seeing successful projects do is blend the two in their strategy. So they have two ways of whitelisting people. The first one is through qualification, typically an application. The second one is through brand interaction. One example for that, for the brand interaction, is the example of Art Gobblers. For brand engagement, Art Gobblers is a prime example. They were basically incentivizing people to engage with their brand and whitelisting them in the process. So if we are to scroll all the way down to their very first tweet, we can see that the people that would go on their platform, so the drawing platform of Art Gobblers, and would draw something, would basically get creative. So you can see Glump Lump Loom would tell the person, hey, Saint Stereo, good job, I'm gonna DM you. Same thing, they were doing that again and again and again. So that was one way. Another example is QQL with a current floor price of about 15 Ethereum. What they did is for you to get whitelisted, all you had to do is just to go on their art generating platform, play a little bit with some of the settings, and then generate a piece of art. And then what would happen is you would just go and post this on Twitter and they would pick a couple winners that interacted with the art. And this is a very Finny friendly method because as we remember, Finny does not have a lot of time on their hands, but Finny connects with brands that are building something. So this strategy, just getting people to interact with your brand, it's very easy in 2 minutes. This is great because all of a sudden it exposes Finny to your project. And number two, it does not make it too hard for them to get whitelisted. In the context of your project for the brand engagement strategy, if you don't have a working product like QQL or Art Gobblers, one way to do it would be, for example, to have a piece of riddle on your website, on your white paper, or on your smart contract where you get people to go and they have to figure out that riddle very quickly, not too hard. And then if they are able to figure it out, they get the whitelist unlocked. Another way to do it, if this is branded to your website, is for instance, every time someone goes into your Discord or your website, they are greeted with a personality test and you could personalize it in a way where it's very branded. And if they go through it again, they get whitelisted. So the brand engagement strategy is self-explanatory. You want people to engage with you, but not make it too hard for them so that it's gonna turn Finny off. Because Finny, remember, only has 30 minutes to 1 hour of time to be in the NFT space every day. Now, the second type of strategy that has been deployed very successfully over the last couple of months has been the qualification strategy. And that is one we've seen with the rise of the application meta, first popularized by Utes and then commercialized by KPR and Valhalla. For instance, Valhalla, another project that made over millions of dollars just right now in the last couple of weeks. So here, for example, you can see that the applications, you had 3.7K approved members and you had about 7K pending applications. And at the moment, you must be referred by an existing member to apply. Thank you for your time and consideration. So if you knew anyone that was already whitelisted on Valhalla, they had a code that they could give you. Now that is one way how the qualification meta worked in Valhalla's case. If you do not have the social proof and the connections that Valhalla did, I would invite you not to go with this strategy because it does make it too exclusive and too hard for people to get access to your whitelist. Someone that did it very well was basically the Utes application process. The way it worked with Utes is it was very open, it was very transparent, it was very democratized. You could apply depending on what type of creator you were. Are you a trader? Are you an influencer? Are you an institution? Are you a group? You could apply, choose your option. And then they made it very transparent. So everyone that would receive a Ute list would automatically be tagged on their Twitter page right here. So anyone that would get Ute listed would get tagged on their account. And the way Utes worded it is it wasn't an application process, it was a scholarship. So it's like almost applying for university. Another use case of the qualification whitelist strategy was what Art Gobblers did. So Art Gobblers did not have an application process. What they did is that they personally reached out to specific influencers and gave them access to their whitelist. And all of a sudden what that created was the top 50 influencers in the space all minted, and we're talking about Art Gobblers. Now, this only worked in the case of Art Gobblers because this was very hyped mint, and number two, because they were a free mint. You cannot be a paid mint and go and tell someone, hey man, I really love your content. You've been a huge inspiration for me in the NFT space. Here's a free whitelist to my NFT. You're just gonna have to pay $200. If you are to deploy that strategy, it's going to have to be a free mint. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is the updated whitelist strategy. We have two strategies working in parallel, the brand engagement strategy and then the qualification strategy. So try to find a way to deploy those two strategies in a way that is branded and is personal to your specific audience in the NFT space. With that said, if you want to learn more about the different types of buyer personas in the NFT space and how understanding them is incredibly important for your project, then I invite you to check out the video that I'm going to be pinning right here. With that said, I will be seeing you in the very next video. Ciao.